Welcome to Warblog. This is a quick overview on the latest developments in the print and play. Let's look at this one just quickly, which is a nice easy one. As you know, I can play it or I can print it, so I can go there. Now, what the options we've got now are to print the map or print the unit. So I could print it all from here, and that might sort of work. But the whole idea here is that you sort of print one thing at a time. So I can do this, and then I can say, okay, I'm going to print this, and I can adjust my scale. Now, when you do things like this, it's really more down to you to then start twiddling with your page setups so that it's sort of going to print out. Now, I've sort of been thinking, well, how would I do this? Because I don't have a colour printer if I was to do print and play. So I would probably print this to a PDF file, or maybe even grab it into a screen, you know, put it into a PDF file, and then take a screenshot and then basically blow it up or manipulate it. Because obviously there's a blank page here, a blank page there. Now I will be developing this to sort of maybe try and take a little bit more control over those things. But let's just go back to the units only. So here are the units, and again, if you do a print, this is just a print preview, you get the same sort of setup. So those are both printing at 100%, and I will be doing something to sort of put these units there, and then maybe to sort of, I don't know what this is causing, this extra space at the top, or this additional space down here, but you know, I've got a fair amount of control over not so much what prints, but what doesn't print. And what it's probably doing is printing some blank spaces, but not to worry. I mean, this is pretty how it will work. Now, a couple of little observations. These units here have a white border, which gives them the appearance of being smaller than these. So going forward, I might have to not do any more white borders so that I can, you know, so everything has for print and play purposes, as a clear sort of outline. I've left the space there, although I'm really not sure exactly how much to do. I think people can sort of trim the counters. You know, it does sort of depend. I mean, if I go to the home page and we look at this one, which was actually quite a big game, and go into print, and then look at print units, and then look at the print. You know, there's quite a lot of units, so whether or not it would be best to actually have no gap between these, or a very small gap of 1mm, etc., etc., I don't know. But this one is a bigger map, so when I print the map only and look at that in print, now it looks a bit odd because it's cut off the edge there, and so basically you're going to have to sort of actually do some thinking about how you want to do that, because I can't do all of that sort of for you. Now if I go down to the next level, it actually goes a bit pear-shaped. I know, it's still fitting in there. I think this one was better in landscape, and then down to 60, like that. So you've really got to figure that out. But the thing is, if this is your file, it might be printing at landscape, it might be printing a bit odd like that, but then you can change the page setup. So I mean, the thing is, if you do print and play, you're probably a little more experienced than that than I am. But the point I'm trying to get to here is that I've configured things so that you can print just the map. There's going to be some exploration and some sort of swearing between you and your printer, but that's sort of the name of the game, really. The only thing to say is, I mean, from my point of view, I can adjust the scale. So this is 60% at the moment. but I might want to sort of actually figure out, well, you know, I could print this out at 150% like that, and you know, somehow get the rest of it, because I don't know where the rest of it is, and stitch it together, and then, you know, print out the counters in a little smaller, etc. But the thing is, what you've got here in theory is just the map. So you've got just the map there. I mean, when it prints out, it doesn't print out any of this other stuff, etc., etc. Just have a quick look at this. So again, the counters are a bit bigger here, but you might not actually want to print the counters as big. And again, you're going to have to sort of, like, you know, try and sort of figure out how to, you know, get them all onto the same bit of paper. But you know, if we put this into landscape now, we can get more of them in. I'm not sure how many I'm missing, but we can go down to 125, and then we can get them all on. We've got a page break, but they're not broken. So again, by the time anyone really gets around to doing this, I'll probably have a better idea of the sort of size of the line between the counters, because I think that's probably a bit sort of, well, not making life easy for anyone, I don't think. But I don't know, so I mean, I might have to have a look at some other print and play sort of things. But anyway, I just wanted to sort of give you a general overview of the print and play, sort of as you might use it in practice. It seems like there's a lot of units, but there aren't really. Now again, you could sort of, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 32, 64. There's about 128. There's 126 counters for them, and for these they get a lot more. 32, 64, 128, 160 odd. So that's quite a lot of counters, but you know, I mean, I don't think it's too many. I mean, it's, you know, if you think about it in relation to any normal board game, it's just like a counter sheet, isn't it? And just to sort of reiterate, going back, you could then print out this, and then you could put them on there. So you could put one on there if you wanted, or you could just use this as, but you could use this as a point of reference. That's what this is for, because then you can get directly the map reference. But as I've said in another video, for this particular game, you might actually want to just allocate them wherever you want, you know, based on this line. So you might want to sort of, you know, allow each player to put their units where they want, you know, one by one or whatever, however you want. You've got a little more flexibility when you're doing the print and play. The only thing I'm just going to do, just quickly, is just have a look at what this looks like as a print. So I haven't looked at this yet. Yeah, so you see what you can do is you can print the whole thing out for general reference. Now hopefully I'll be able to get rid of these things. I sort of know what's causing that. But this is a general reference one, and again we're looking at it in landscape, so we'll put it into portrait, we get a slightly different one. Now this is where it sort of gets a bit odd, because there's so many different things that we could be and couldn't be sort of printing, because if you want to print this out, or just the order of battle, maybe I could call this officially order of battle. I think the reason I've got this option here is that you can print out the order of battle so that you can actually put it to a size you want and that sort of stuff. But I haven't configured this page for printing yet, but these things won't get printed out. I just put a magic thing on there saying don't print, and you won't see it on the printer, similar to all the other stuff that's on the pages. But I think just so essentially there's some white space here that needs to be configured as don't print, and now push it up to the top. But you are still going to be battling with your printer's sensibilities. So there we've got this at 60%, and as you can see, it will probably print out quite nicely, completely. But the thing is, you know, the map would be quite small, but that is a piece of, in England we call it A4, but that's the standard writing paper. The one I'm thinking people might probably be more inclined to do if they want to print a game out is to take it to their local printing shop. In the UK we've got things like Office World. I'm not sure whether there are others like Prontoprint or, you know, the quick print places, and you can give them, you know, a few pounds or whatever, and they'll just print out a file. And to be quite honest, I haven't been for years, but I suspect that you could probably get quite big printouts. I mean, in the UK we'd probably be going up to A3, definitely, but you know, it might be possible to even get printouts on A2. It's really up to you, but you know, so what you can do with these printouts, you can really, you know, get quite sizable printouts, probably on just sort of digital paper, which isn't brilliant, but I just sort of give you an idea of what you're going to end up with. Once you get to this stage, now this is just the general order of battle printout, so again, let's go back to the map, which is the sort of difficult one. Once you're at this stage, you're on your own. I don't provide any more support because I can't really. You know, it's between you and your printer and whatever else you've got. I mean, you know, you could almost do it at that scale. You could figure out how to change the orientation. I know there are ways to do it. It's just I don't know how to do it. Where, for example, I know if I was to print a spreadsheet out, it would print a bit of this on this page. For example, if I do this at the moment, it's sort of cut off. But I know that there are other programs that will so I'm just trying to figure out whether there's something I can do without messing up my standard print options. It would print this one out, and then that, and then it would print this one below it. It would print them out so that then you could actually then cut them and stick them together. Because other than the fact that it's cut off, if you print it out like that, you could print it out and sellotape it together, and that's another way to do it. And you could almost do that at home if you've got an inkjet or something like that, or even a colour laser, etc., etc. So anyway, that's just another overview on the print and play. It's under development, but it's quite usable at the moment. And before I go, I'll just show you. Now the print and play rules are still very rudimentary, but I just, well, I'll put the print and play video in the other one. It's actually on this one as well, but I'll show it in the print and play rules. The print and play rules have been modified a little bit, but here we go, combat results. We've got the combat result table in there. I've changed a few other things as well, and I'm slowly developing this as an independent set of rules for the print and play. But the thing is, with the combat results, you're pretty much good to go. There are other things that you're going to need, but you know, once you've got that's all there is really. You know, there are going to be things for terrain effects, but you can pretty much gather that from the existing rules, as well as combat variants of certain things. I mean, you probably don't need all these calculations because this is showing how the maths works. There will be no sort of 1.1s or anything like that. But basically, I thought I'd show you this because it's the first time I've seen the CRT, and I've been doing this for now 3 years, 3 years. Obviously, it was in the actual code. And to be quite honest, it was quite well structured in the code, and there's no interpretation. This is pretty much as it is in the code, exactly as it is. So I was quite pleased with the way I was able to get it out, and I was actually quite pleased with the way that it does actually make sense. I mean, I know people would sort of say, well, you need to be on this column to get this, you know. I mean, the 2 to 1 is a pretty good column. They're all, you know, you're going to get a DR. You're going to get a DR on a, you know, you need a 1 to 4. Everything else is going to be an exchange. So, you know, you can comment on whether that's sort of, well, maybe we should get more or less. It's interesting for me to look at it really, but it does sort of work. You know, for example, on the 7 to 1s, you can see that if you get an 11 or 12, you'll only get a DR. Most of the time, you're going to get a DE. But on the 7 to 1 you're going to get DR, and this is actually how it has been working, pretty much since the start. I haven't really changed the actual results. I've changed a number of the factors and variables, defensive terrain and, sort of infantry versus tanks, get a, half modifiers and things like that. But I thought I'd show you that as a sort of a follow-on representing a development of the print and play rules, but as it actually happens, I did it for the print and play, and then I went in and I did it in here as well, just because it is. That's how you spell actual. I don't think so. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting to actually see that. I'd always kept it not secret, but I just didn't publish it because I don't like these things. I don't like sort of thing. Well, obviously you get a sense that 2 to 1 is better than 1 to 1 and 3 to 1, but when you know that, it's sort of, I don't like that level of play, but for the print and play you need it, and seeing I went to all the effort doing it, I put it in the rant in these ones as well. So anyway, I hope that makes sense. I hope that gives you a clearer idea of how the print and play works and what you're expected to do, and what it's anticipated and hoped you do, etc. And I'll speak to you later. Oh, one more thing. If you've got any questions about print and play, that you can use the forum or Facebook or any of the social media platforms, or even email the site or whatever. The print and play is a little more tricky than the online play, so especially in the early days, I'm quite happy to give more support on that. And anyway, I'll speak to you later. Cheerio.